I've talked on this channel a number of times before about PMS, Pre-Menstrual Syndrome, if I'm recalling correctly. And it's part of the menstrual cycle. I'm Tanis, she, her, hers of Seattle, and I'm a she, her, hers, and I've been a menstruating woman for over 20.00 consecutive years. I have not missed a menstrual cycle, a period. And I was like, how about I'm musing about my PMS? So I was like, okay, I get really bad cramps, and I've always gotten really bad cramps. And so this is a PMS cramps musing, kind of like blood caffeine as blood alcohol. So one thing, this is kind of, it's, as part of the Tanis diet, which is my baseline diet for my cardiology self-experimentation. So cardiology is study of the human heart, the organ, and the corresponding blood flow system. And so I track calories, fat, vitamin C, calcium, iron, and then I, work on blood pressure and blood glucose. And I was like, is there anything else? I was like, there's blood alcohol. I don't necessarily drink a lot of alcohol. I've drunk alcohol in the past, but not necessarily on I haven't really ever built up a routine of drinking alcohol, for better or for worse. So, there we go. I was like, it is vanilla extract, or communion at church, that kind of thing. And so it's taking those forms that are like vanilla more broadly, or like that would be like Tanis blood alcohol. Might be maybe my system becomes so pristine it actually flares up to the quantity at communion, or vanilla or something, kind of like, for me, that's enough alcohol to perturb my system. All right. So there's that. And I was like, I wonder, so then in thinking through my stuff, it's like blood caffeine as blood alcohol. So it's amusing, right? I don't actually know if blood caffeine is a thing or if they can measure it. I know blood alcohol is, tracked for what would it be? Sometimes blood alcohol content is taken as a intoxicated state. If it's over a certain percentage or something like that, a person might be cautioned to not do certain behaviors. And so I was like, blood caffeine and PMS cramps specifically. But this enters through my baseline diet of I do drink caffeine, and it's a good one in terms of does it affect, or has it affected my PMS cramps? And it has alcohol. So I don't drink a bunch of alcohol, and I haven't necessarily drunk it a lot throughout my life. I think it's one of those, it's I feel more perhaps a little bit calmer, and I might start complimenting people if I drink a lot of alcohol. So in that sense, perhaps my body relaxes, so it could help with cramps. Does caffeine work? So blood caffeine, so percentage of so essentially that'd be I try to space my caffeine out in even equal chunks throughout the day for drinking it, consuming it. So it's in that sense, it'd be I don't really tend to go above that. So it'd be more present or not present. And I think because the caffeine form I have comes with calories, if there's a slight relaxing of my body during PMS cramps that comes from it might also just be having calories. So if that makes sense. And I don't know if people measure blood caffeine. I don't know if that's a thing. It gets distributed to the body somehow. So for me, but it's not something that I've necessarily been do they track blood caffeine quantities for certain things, kind of like blood alcohol. For my PMS cramps, I tend not to see any change with caffeine consumption in my cramps specifically. And here, oh, PMS cramps are, because it'll go full circle before I end the video. So I tend not to see any impact to my cramps. However, I also don't targetedly experiment on caffeine or alcohol in relation to my PMS cramps currently. PMS cramps are, so Pre-Menstrual Syndrome, is like, for you guys are like, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's like, well, so essentially there's like blood flow during a menstrual cycle, and before that happens, some people, not all people, have show some symptoms that they're, gonna bleed as part of their menstrual cycle. And so symptoms can vary person to person or not be there. And I do have PMS, and cramps are ones that like starts, sometimes like 2 weeks before, approximately 2 weeks before the blood starts. I start shedding my uterine lining for that cycle, so to speak. So it just means it comes before the actual like blood flow part of the menstrual cycle. So there we go. So it's a PMS cramps musing on blood caffeine as like blood alcohol. Maybe like is a better term.